The most dangerous advice you have ever received is to be yourself. This mantra, repeated endlessly by the well-intentioned and the weak, is a formula for powerlessness. You are taught to treat your identity as a sacred, unchangeable core, a true self that must be expressed at all costs. This is the philosophy of the amateur, the mindset of prey. Your unfiltered emotions, your raw impulses, your unexamined beliefs. You are told these things are your authentic identity. In reality, they are vulnerabilities. They are the open schematics of your psychological operating system, handed freely to anyone who wishes to manipulate you. The strategist, the architect of power, understands a colder truth. The self is not found, it is built. It is not a fixed monument to be admired, but a weapon to be forged, calibrated, and deployed for a specific objective. While you are busy being real, the truly powerful are busy being effective. They are not expressing a self, they are executing a strategy. This is the fundamental division of the social battlefield. On one side stands the transparent man. His identity is his prison. He believes his strength lies in his sincerity, his power in his candor. His every reaction is a broadcast, an unencrypted signal of his internal state. He is proud of his consistency, not realizing that this consistency is predictability. He is honest about his fears, his desires, his ambitions, and in doing so, he hands the blueprint of his mind to his rivals. The transparent man is a psychological glass house, admired for its clarity by the very people who are calculating its precise point of shatter. He is not a person. He is a data set waiting to be analyzed and exploited. On the other side stands the architect. For the architect, identity is not a state of being, it is an instrument of power. He understands that the self you project is the most potent weapon in your arsenal. It is a fortress of perception, with carefully guarded walls and gates that open only by strategic design. His actions are not guided by the chaotic winds of emotion, but by the cold calculus of his objectives. He is not being fake. He is being deliberate. His identity is not a confession. It is a broadcast, and he controls the signal. This separation between the internal self and the external persona is the space where all strategy is born. The core problem you must now confront is this. You are either one or the other. You are either psychologically legible, a slave to the tyranny of being known, or you are strategically opaque, the master of the reality others perceive. One is an object in the game, the other is a player. The illusion you must shatter is that your authentic self is an asset. It is a liability until it is disciplined, forged, and placed under the command of your will. The question is not who you are, but who you need to become to achieve your ends. To build the self is to first deconstruct it. You must learn to see the architecture of your own weakness, to map the structural flaws that guarantee your failure. The transparent man is not born, he is conditioned. And his conditioning manifests in a series of predictable, self-sabotaging behaviors. You must learn to recognize these, not with moral judgment, but with the cold eye of a field engineer inspecting a faulty machine. The first and most pervasive symptom is psychological incontinence. This is the compulsive need to broadcast your internal state. You feel anger and you project it. You feel anxiety and you telegraph it. You feel a flicker of inspiration and you announce it to the world before the idea has taken root. You have been taught that this is honesty, that it is healthy expression. This is a lie designed to keep you manageable. In reality, you are bleeding information. Every uncontrolled reaction is a signal flare revealing your position on the battlefield. The strategist does not suppress emotion, he contains it. He feels the same anger, the same fear, but he understands that these are sources of internal energy, fuel to be stored in a reservoir, not waste to be vented into the atmosphere. Emotion is a private resource for analysis and action, not a public performance for the consumption of others. Your incontinent expression of it ensures you are always understood, always anticipated, and therefore always one step behind the opponent who has mastered the art of the mask. The second symptom is the hunger for external validation. The transparent man cannot ratify his own existence. His opinions, his choices, His very identity requires a constant stream of approval from the outside world. He presents an idea and immediately scans the faces in the room, not for strategic feedback, but for the comforting nod of agreement. He mistakes consensus for truth. This hunger makes you a servant to the group. The need for applause is a leash, and whoever can grant or withhold that applause becomes your master. You will soften your arguments, betray your objectives, and modify your persona to appease the shifting tastes of the audience. The architect, in contrast, treats validation as a tool, not a need. He may seek to generate consensus, but he does so to steer the group toward his objective. He manufactures agreement as a form of camouflage or social momentum. The transparent man is shaped by the room. The architect shapes the room. Your craving for approval outsources the control of your identity to the very people you should be influencing. The third symptom is the delusion of confession as connection. You have been told that vulnerability builds trust, that sharing your deepest wounds and anxieties is the path to true intimacy. This is the philosophy of the herd, where shared fragility creates a comforting, albeit powerless, bond. The strategist understands that every secret you confess is a weapon you hand to a future enemy. Your past traumas, your private fears, your hidden shames, you offer these up as peace offerings, believing they will be held in confidence. But in the economy of power, such information is currency. It is a map of your psychological triggers, a blueprint of your breaking points. The day an ally becomes a rival, he will not remember your shared moment of vulnerability with fondness. He will remember it as intelligence gathering. The architect builds alliances not on shared wounds, but on aligned incentives and demonstrated competence. His trust is a calculated risk based on utility and mutual self-interest, not a naive faith in the sanctity of revealed secrets. Finally, there is the cage of performative principle. The transparent man constructs a rigid public identity built on loudly proclaimed morals and unshakable ethics. He declares his absolute loyalty, his unwavering honesty, his commitment to a specific code. He believes this makes him appear strong and virtuous. In reality, it builds a prison around him. By broadcasting your principles, you give everyone the exact metrics by which to judge, trap, and manipulate you. Your opponents no longer need to guess your response. They can predict it by referencing your own public rulebook. They can engineer situations that force you to choose between your stated principle and a strategic advantage, ensuring you either lose the game or expose yourself as a hypocrite. The architect's code is internal, fluid, and subordinate to the mission. His ethics are pragmatic, not performative. He is not lawless. He simply understands that the only law that matters is the achievement of his objective. The transparent man is trapped by the identity he performs. The architect is liberated by the identity he controls. These are not flaws of character. They are errors in strategy. They are the habits that keep you legible, predictable, and therefore governable. Each one is a surrender of control, a voluntary transfer of power from your hands into the hands of others. You believe you are being authentic. You are, in fact, making yourself a perfectly readable text. An open book for anyone with the ambition to turn the page and write the ending for you. These errors in strategy are not without a price. Power dynamics, like physics, demand equilibrium. Your weakness does not simply evaporate. It is converted into another's strength. The cost of your transparency is not merely being seen, it is being solved. You become a puzzle with the solution printed on the box, an equation that your rivals can balance at their leisure, turning your internal world into their strategic playground. Your psychological incontinence makes you a finely tuned instrument for others to play. Your anger, your joy, your despair, these are no longer your own experiences. They are levers, buttons on a control panel that an opponent can press to elicit a predictable response. They will provoke your anger to make you reckless. They will stoke your fear to make you hesitant. You believe you are feeling. You are actually being operated. The cost of your emotional broadcast is the complete annexation of your reactive system. Your hunger for validation makes you a willing hostage. The need for applause is a chain, and the price you pay is the surrender of your agenda. You will find your ambitions mysteriously aligning with the ambitions of those who praise you. You will dilute your strategy to make it more palatable to the herd, trading victory for acceptance. The cost is not just compromise. It is the slow, imperceptible transfer of your will. You cease to be the architect of your life and become a contractor building someone else's empire. And your confessions, the secrets you share in the naive pursuit of connection, become a permanent archive of your weaknesses. Every vulnerability you reveal is a key you hand over, a future point of leverage. This information does not decay. It lies dormant, waiting to be weaponized in a future conflict. The price of your manufactured intimacy is to live under the constant threat of your own history. You are not building bridges. You are arming future saboteurs. You have turned your past into a cage and handed the key to your jailer. In the end, the ultimate price is relevance. You are not outmaneuvered. You are simply factored out of the equation, a predictable variable in a game you do not even realize you are losing. To reverse this architecture of weakness, you must become the engineer of your own perception. This is not a matter of morality, but of physics. Where you were once transparent, you must become opaque. Where you were once a predictable system, you must become a chaos engine. This is the antidote. It is a series of countermaneuvers designed to reclaim the power you have been conditioned to surrender. It begins with the absolute mastery of your own signals. Your first mandate is to cultivate strategic stillness. This is the direct counteroffensive against psychological incontinence. You must treat your emotional state as a state secret, a classified asset too valuable to be declassified by a fleeting reaction. When you experience a stimulus, an insult, a challenge, a setback, you must surgically insert a space of pure silence between that event and your response. In this space, the transparent man reacts. The architect calculates. You will learn to feel the wave of anger or fear rise within you, not as a command to act, but as a data point to be analyzed. You will ask yourself one question: what is the most strategically advantageous response? Not the most honest, not the most satisfying, the most advantageous. Your face will become a mask, not a dead, emotionless void, but a tool of deliberate communication. It will project what you need it to project. Calm in the face of chaos, curiosity in the face of aggression, boredom in the face of provocation. You will starve your opponents of the information they crave. They expect a reaction. You will give them a puzzle. You will re-engineer your nervous system from a broadcast tower into a silent, closed-circuit listening post. Your emotions become your private counsel, not your public spokesman. Second, you must construct an internal locus of judgment. This is the fortress you build against the hunger for validation. You must become the sole arbiter of your own worth and the sole judge of your own success. Your objectives, your strategy, your identity. These are ratified by you and you alone. From this day forward, you will treat the opinions of others not as verdicts, but as raw intelligence. When you receive praise, you will not absorb it as fuel for your ego. You will analyze it to understand what the other person wants from you. When you receive criticism, you will not internalize it as an indictment of your character. You will dissect it for tactical weaknesses you may have overlooked. The gyroscope of your purpose must be housed within your own mind, immune to the rocking of the ship. You must learn to derive a cold, clean satisfaction from the flawless execution of a plan. A satisfaction that is entirely independent of the world's applause. The applause is for the audience. The victory is for you. By severing your dependence on external approval, you cut the leash held by the herd. You cease to be a performer playing for the crowd and become the director who moves the crowd itself. Third, you will operate under the principle of radical information asymmetry. This is the weapon that neutralizes the delusion of confession as connection. You must reframe your understanding of information. It is not a tool for bonding. It is the currency of power. Your objective is to become a black hole of intelligence. Information flows to you, but it never escapes. You will train yourself to listen with predatory focus, to absorb the ambitions, fears, and insecurities of others as they willingly confess them. You will store this information in a cold mental archive, indexed for future use. In contrast, your own internal world remains a guarded vault. When the social game requires a performance of intimacy, you will not offer true vulnerabilities. Instead, you will practice calculated disclosure. You will construct and deploy narratives, stories of past struggles, minor flaws, or overcome challenges that are designed to create a specific perception. These are not confessions. They are psychological operations. They create the illusion of openness while revealing nothing of strategic value. You build alliances on the solid ground of mutual interest and demonstrated competence, not the sinking sand of shared weakness. Your rivals will believe they know you, while you will truly know them. This asymmetry is an insurmountable strategic advantage. Finally, you must embrace strategic fluidity. This is your escape from the cage of performative principle. Your only unwavering principle is the achievement of your ultimate objective. All other values are tools in the toolbox, to be used or set aside based on their utility in a given situation. The transparent man declares his unwavering honesty and is then trapped by it. The architect understands that different terrains require different camouflage. To one audience, you are a paragon of ruthless efficiency. To another, a compassionate collaborator. To a third, a humble servant of a greater cause. These are not identities. They are postures, adopted for tactical advantage. This is not hypocrisy. It is adaptation. Your code of conduct is internal, pragmatic, and subordinate to your mission. You make your opponent's game of prediction impossible. They cannot trap you with your own rules because you have no public rules. They cannot appeal to a virtue you publicly espouse because you espouse none. Your true character is your effectiveness. By refusing to cast yourself in a single rigid role, you become a ghost in their machine, able to move through their world without being fixed, categorized, or controlled. These are not mere suggestions. They are the protocols of power. They are the deliberate, conscious actions you must take to dismantle the transparent man and forge the architect in his place. This is the hard work of building a self, not for expression, but for dominion. You are not becoming fake. You are becoming impenetrable. You are seizing control of the narrative, transforming yourself from an open book into a cipher that no one can solve. Once you have built the fortress, you do not simply hide behind its walls. You begin to project power from its ramparts. The principles of the architect are not merely a shield, they are a sophisticated arsenal. You will now move from defense to offense, from protecting yourself from the game to controlling the board. This is the art of psychological siege. Your strategic stillness becomes an offensive weapon. In a world of noise and frantic reaction, your calculated calm creates a vacuum. Others, desperate for a signal, will rush to fill this void with their own anxieties, plans, and weaknesses. They will talk more. They will reveal more. Your silence becomes a form of pressure, forcing your opponent's hand. Your internal locus of judgment allows you to weaponize validation itself. Because you do not need their approval, your approval becomes a scarce and valuable currency. You will grant it with surgical precision to reward behavior that serves your agenda and withhold it to create a chilling sense of uncertainty. You become the standard by which they measure themselves, compelling them to orbit your will, hungry for the recognition that only you can provide. The information asymmetry you cultivated is not a library. It is an active intelligence dossier for psychological warfare. You will now practice what can only be called calibrated empathy. You will use the fears and desires others have confessed to you, not to comfort them, but to mirror their inner world back at them, creating a profound and artificial sense of being understood. This manufactured bond is the pathway through which you will steer their decisions. You plant ideas that seem to be their own. You frame choices in the language of their deepest anxieties. You create scenarios where the path you desire appears to them to be the only safe harbor. Their past confessions become your future commands. Finally, your strategic fluidity allows you to deploy personas like precision-guided munitions. You're no longer one person. You're a master key designed to unlock any psychological mechanism. To the arrogant man, you project deference, allowing his own ego to blind him as you advance your position unopposed. To the insecure, you offer the posture of a strong, stable mentor, creating a dependency that you can leverage at will. To the idealist, you become a fellow believer, using the language of their own code to guide them toward your objectives. Each persona is a perfectly engineered tool, designed to disarm a specific target by becoming exactly what they need or expect. They will believe they are interacting with an ally, a subordinate, or a kindred spirit, never realizing they are engaged with an architect executing a flawless design. This is the ultimate evolution of your power. You are no longer just managing your own perception. You are actively engineering the reality of others. But the greatest opponent you will ever face is not across the table. It is within your own skull. The strategies you have learned to deploy against others are merely practice. The final examination is their application upon yourself. The external world was your training ground, the proving ground for your tools. Now, you must turn this entire arsenal inward. The art of the architect is not complete when you can deconstruct others. It is complete when you can deconstruct and rebuild your own mind. This is the final frontier of power. The path from being a player in the game to becoming the game master of your own internal universe. Your strategic stillness must be applied to your own impulses, your own laziness, your own desire for comfort, your own ego. These are the true insurgents you must quell. When you feel the pull toward distraction or the craving for an easy victory, you must meet that internal signal with the same calculating silence you would an opponent's provocation. You will learn to observe your own desires with the detached curiosity of a scientist studying a volatile compound. You do not surrender to them. You analyze them, starve them of power, and subordinate them to the cold logic of your ultimate objective. You will become the warden of your own mind, ensuring that no internal impulse can stage a coup against your will. Your internal locus of judgment must be turned upon your own performance with ruthless objectivity. You will cease to forgive your own mistakes under the guise of self-compassion. You will audit your actions at the end of each day, not with emotion, but with the cold metrics of a field report. Where were you inefficient? Where did you let your ego cloud your judgment? Where did you choose comfort over progress? You must analyze these failures as you would the tactical errors of a rival, identifying the flaw in the system, and engineering a protocol to ensure it never happens again. Your goal is not self-acceptance in the weak sense of the word. It is self-sovereignty. You must apply radical information asymmetry to your own psyche. Your conscious mind is only the public-facing government of yourself. Beneath it lies a vast territory of subconscious drives, learned fears, and hidden biases. You must become an intelligence agent in your own interior. Through brutal self-reflection, you will map this terrain. You will hunt down your own unexamined beliefs and drag them into the light. Why do you truly seek what you seek? What are the hidden fears that dictate your patterns of avoidance? You must excavate your own operating system until no part of you is a mystery to you. To know others is leverage. To know yourself completely and without illusion is to become invulnerable. Finally, your strategic fluidity must be used to dismantle your own self-concept. The person you were yesterday is not a sacred text. It is a rough draft to be ruthlessly edited today. The statement, "I am not the kind of person who," is the most restrictive cage you can build for yourself. You must cultivate the capacity to become whatever the mission requires, even if it contradicts the person you believed you were. You must be willing to burn down your old identity to make way for a more effective model. The true architect is not trapped by a persona he projects to the world. He is not even trapped by the persona he projects to himself. He is pure function, a living embodiment of will, fluid and adaptive, with an identity forged by his purpose, not his past. This internal mastery is the source code of all external power. Without it, your strategies are hollow performances. With it, you are not just building a fortress, you are forging a soul. Let us now discard the final illusion that this is a path to becoming a better person. It is not. It is a path to becoming a more effective force. The transparent man is a noun, a fixed, defined, and ultimately limited entity. The architect is a verb, a process, an act of continuous creation. This is your new philosophy. You are not a character living out a pre-written script of genetics and conditioning. You are the author, and your identity is the instrument you use to write reality itself. Your final form is not that of a king on a throne, demanding obedience. That is the crude ambition of the insecure. Your final form is that of the ghost in the machine. Your influence is felt, not seen. Your will is executed not through loud commands, but through the elegant design of systems, incentives, and perceptions that guide others to the conclusions you engineered from the start. They will move along the paths you have laid, believing they are acting of their own free will. This is quiet sovereignty. It is the power that comes not from being known, but from being the architect of what is known. You do not seek happiness, you seek effect. You do not seek validation, you seek dominion over the causal chain. Yourself is not a soul to be saved, but a weapon to be perpetually sharpened. The world is a chessboard. Most people are pieces, moved by hands they cannot see. A few learn to be players, but you, the architect, you will learn to be the board itself, the silent, underlying structure upon which the entire game is played. That is the final victory.